The man picked up the fish. The fish didn't struggle. It just looked into his eyes. And then, please, a voice came from the fish again. The man's eyes widened. His mouth opened. He dropped the fish back into the basin and took 3 steps back. Earlier, to the outside world, Mama Sade was just a fish seller. But inside the house, she was a storm. She treated 18-year-old Simbi, her stepdaughter, badly, very badly. She made her sweep the large compound every morning before the sun came out. She would shout if Simbi made the tiniest mistake. Sometimes she gave her only cold pap and a piece of dry bread to eat. She would beat her for things she didn't even do. But Mama Sade was kind to her own children, Bola and Sade. They were both younger than Simbi, but they acted like they were older. Mama Sade gave them meat in their soup, bought them new slippers, and even kissed them on the forehead at night. But she never even looked at Simbi with love. Simbi could not remember the last time someone hugged her. Simbi's mother died when she was just 2 years old, and her father married Mama Sade after just a few months so she could help take care of Simbi, but Mama Sade never did. Her father, Pa Ajala, didn't know what was going on. He left for the farm early every morning and came back late in the evening. By the time he returned, Simbi was already quiet, tired, and pretending to be fine. She didn't want her father to worry, so she said nothing. But something strange happened one night. It was a full moon night. The sky was bright, but there was a heavy breeze in the air. Simbi could not sleep. She tossed and turned on her mat in the corner of the room. She could hear strange sounds outside, like whispers, like chanting. She sat up. Her heart was beating fast. She tiptoed to the window and peeped out. She saw shadows, 5 of them, walking towards the backyard. They were all women, all dressed in black wrappers. One of them looked exactly like Mama Sade. Simbi's mouth opened in shock. What was Mama Sade doing outside at this time? And who were the other women? Curiosity filled her. She took slow, careful steps and followed them quietly. She didn't want to be seen. She hid behind the big tree and peeked. What she saw froze her feet to the ground. There in the backyard, in the middle of a small fire, stood Mama Sade and 4 other women. They were holding hands and speaking in a strange language. Simbi's ears tingled as the words floated through the air. "We must offer him in 3 nights," one woman said. "Yes," Mama Sade answered. "Ajala, my husband, must go. His spirit is strong. It will bring more power." Simbi gasped. Ajala? That was her father. She leaned in closer, hoping she had heard wrong. Mama Sade continued, "He has been good to me, but the time has come. The gods are ready. In 3 days he will be ours." Simbi felt like the wind was pushing her backward. Her whole body began to shake. She wanted to scream, but her voice was locked inside her. Her legs began to run on their own. She had to tell her father. She had to save him. But just as she turned to run, she stepped on a dry stick. Crack! All 5 women turned around sharply. "There's someone there!" one of them shouted. "Catch her!" Mama Sade screamed. Simbi ran. Fast. Her feet didn't even touch the ground. She ran through the cassava plants, past the goat shed, and towards the back door. But before she could reach it, a thick smoke surrounded her. Her eyes burned. She coughed and stumbled. The last thing she saw was Mama Sade's angry face and a sharp flash of red light. Then everything went dark. When Simbi opened her eyes, she felt cold, wet, and strange. She looked around. Everything looked bigger. The grass, the stones, even the ants. She tried to speak, but no words came out, only bubbles. She looked down and screamed inside her head. She was no longer a girl. Simbi had been turned into a fish. The moon was still high in the sky, shining like a quiet eye in the darkness. The wind was cold. The trees whispered to one another. A cat meowed somewhere in the distance, but in Mama Sade's backyard, everything had gone silent. The other witches, the 5 women in black wrappers, had disappeared like smoke. One moment they were there, standing around in their circle. The next moment they were gone. No footprints, no sound. Nothing. Only Mama Sade remained. She stood there, holding something carefully in both hands. It was a fish, but this was not just any fish. It was Simbi. Just moments ago, Simbi had been a young lady who loved singing to herself, a young lady who used to sit under the mango tree to read when no one was watching. A young lady who had always wondered why her stepmother hated her so much. Now she was a fish, a shiny, helpless fish. Her body was wet and cold. Her tiny mouth moved, trying to speak. Her eyes were wide and filled with fear. But no one could hear her. She wanted to shout. She wanted to cry. She wanted to run, but all she could do was wiggle and shake. Mama Sade looked around quickly, turning her head to the left, then to the right. She didn't see anyone. She listened carefully. No footsteps, no voices. The whole village was asleep. Then she smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the kind of smile that sends shivers down your back. She covered Simbi with a black cloth, hugged her close like she was hiding something, and quietly walked back into the house. Her footsteps were slow and careful. Not even the wooden floor creaked as she entered. Inside, the house was still. Her husband, Pa Ajala, was sleeping soundly in the room next to hers. He had worked hard that day in the sun and on the farm, planting cassava and yams. He had no idea that danger was close, very close. Mama Sade's 2 children were also asleep, curled under their blanket. They were safe, always safe. But Simbi, she was not. Mama Sade entered her bedroom and locked the door behind her. She brought out a big blue plastic basin and placed it in the middle of the room. Then she dropped the fish, Simbi, inside. The fish wriggled and flipped. Mama Sade went outside quietly and returned with a small bucket of water. She poured it into the basin. Now Simbi was swimming in the basin. She splashed around, bumping against the sides, trying so hard to jump out, but she couldn't. Mama Sade folded her arms and looked down at the fish. "Let me see how you will tell your father now," she said with a smirk. Her voice was cold, almost like ice. Simbi's fish eyes were staring up at her, full of pain and confusion. "Look at you," Mama Sade continued. "You wanted to spoil my plan. You wanted to go and open your small mouth to tell your papa what you saw. Now look at yourself. Fish, moi," she spat. Simbi moved around the basin quickly, trying to beg, trying to cry, but she had no voice. She was just a little fish now. She wanted to scream, "Please don't hurt my papa." But her lips could not form words. Mama Sade turned away and started packing her market things. The room smelled of dried fish and herbs. She folded some black nylon bags, checked her money purse, and brought out her market cloth. She looked back at the basin. "I will deal with your father in 3 days," she said, almost singing. "And nobody will suspect me. Just like your mother disappeared, he too will vanish. You people think I don't know your mother's secret. Foolish man, foolish girl." Mama Sade laughed again, her eyes shining in the dark. She turned off the lamp and lay down to sleep. The fish, Simbi, remained in the basin, her small heart beating fast inside her slippery body. She stayed awake all night, swimming slowly in circles, praying silently. "God help me! Help Papa! Please!" The next morning came quickly. The cock crowed loudly. "Cocoroko! Cocoroko!" But no one answered from Simbi's room. Pa Ajala woke up and stretched. He called out, "Simbi! Simbi! Go and fetch water for me!" No answer. He tried again. Still silence. He frowned. Maybe she was still asleep. It was not like her. Simbi always woke up early to sweep the compound and fetch water. She was hard-working, even though she was treated badly. But today, something was wrong. Before Pa Ajala could get up to check on her, Mama Sade had already carried the basin outside. She had covered it with a cloth and placed it on her head like she did every morning when she was going to the market. She had even added some smoked fish around it to make it look normal. She wore her wrapper tightly, tied her red scarf, and looked at herself in the mirror. "Good," she said softly. "Before anybody starts asking questions, I'm gone." She stepped outside and began walking quickly toward the village market. Her footsteps were fast. Her eyes looked around nervously, but her face remained the same, squeezed and tight. No one suspected anything. Inside the basin, Simbi the fish moved slowly in the cold water. Her body was weak. She was scared and tired, but her mind was still working. She knew where Mama Sade was going the market. She knew what happened to fish in the market. They were sold, roasted, cut into pieces, eaten. No, Simbi thought, turning in the water. Please, no. As Mama Sade walked on, her lips were humming a strange song, a song of death, a song of secrets, and the sun began to rise slowly over the village. As soon as Mama Sade reached the village market, the sun was still rising. Only a few traders had arrived. The ground was still wet from the morning dew, and the air smelled like pepper and dust. Mama Sade looked around carefully, her eyes sharp like a hawk. When she was sure no one was looking, she quickly set up her small wooden table. Then she brought out the fish, the big one, the one that used to be Simbi. Simbi was now lying on the table, quiet, still, and helpless. On the outside, she looked like a normal fish, but inside she was crying, crying without sound, crying without tears. She was begging, "Please, someone help me. Please don't let her kill me." But no one could hear her. No one even knew the fish had a voice inside. Mama Sade arranged her other fishes on the table and put Simbi right in the middle. She wiped her hands on her wrapper and sat down with her usual squeezed face. People began to walk past. Some stopped to look at the fish. One woman pointed at Simbi. "How much is this one?" she asked. 5,000, Mama Sade said without smiling. "Ah, that's too much," the woman shouted and walked away. Another man came. "Madam, how much for this big one?" Mama Sade crossed her arms. 6,000. "This one is special," the man laughed. "Special? How? Does it talk?" Mama Sade only hissed and looked away. Simbi was still inside, listening, scared and praying. Her little heart inside the fish body was beating fast. She knew if someone bought her and killed her, she would never return to her real self. Then, after many people came and left, a quiet man with a rough beard and a tired face walked to the table. He was holding a brown sack. He looked at Simbi for a long time. "How much?" he asked. Mama Sade smiled slightly for the first time. 7,000, the man nodded. "I'll pay." He brought out the money and gave it to Mama Sade. She counted it and her eyes shone. She reached for a knife beside her mat. "Should I cut it for you?" she asked, already placing the knife on the fish's back. "No," the man said quickly. "Leave it whole." Simbi's tiny fish eyes moved. She was shocked. She couldn't talk, but inside she was shouting, "Thank you! Thank you! Please don't kill me!" The man put Simbi into his sack gently. Then he turned and walked home. The man lived at the far end of the village near the river. His house was small but neat. When he got home, he dropped the sack and brought out the fish. He looked at it again. He muttered. "This one looks like it has something to say." But he just laughed, shook his head, and dropped the fish into a basin with clean water. "I'll prepare it later," he said to himself, and went into his room to rest. Simbi floated in the basin. The water was cool, but her heart was heavy. She had already lost hope. She didn't know what else to do. Would this man's wife cook her for dinner? Would she end up in a soup pot? "I will never see Papa again," she thought sadly. "I will never play, never laugh, never be a girl again." Her body didn't move much, just her eyes. She felt cold and weak. She wanted to cry, but fish don't cry. Suddenly, she heard small footsteps. A young boy, about 18 years old, came into the backyard. He was the man's son. He walked close to the basin and looked inside. When he saw the fish, he gasped. "Ah, this fish looks sad," he whispered. He knelt down and stared at it. He tilted his head and watched the fish's eyes. "You're not like other fishes," he said. "Your eyes, they look like you're alive inside." Simbi heard him. She wanted to speak. She tried to move her mouth. The boy leaned closer. Then, for the first time, something strange happened. A small whisper came out from the fish. "Help me!" The boy jumped back, his eyes wide. "What? Did you just talk?" Simbi moved again, very slowly. Her little fish mouth opened and closed. "Please, help me," she whispered again weakly. The boy couldn't believe it. He looked around to make sure nobody was watching. Then he came closer. "Who are you?" he asked softly. "I'm Simbi," she said. "I'm not a fish. I'm a girl. My stepmother, she did this to me." The boy's mouth opened wide. He couldn't believe his ears. He had never heard of a talking fish in his life, not even in bedtime stories. "My name is Taju," the boy said. "What should I do? Should I tell my papa?" "No," Simbi said quickly. "Please, don't tell him. He might kill me without knowing. Please, hide me. I don't want to die." Taju scratched his head. His heart was beating fast. He didn't understand how a girl could become a fish, but he could see the fear in her fish eyes. He felt sorry for her. "Okay," he whispered. "I'll help you, I promise. But how do I change you back?" "I don't know," Simbi said softly. "But please don't let anyone cook me. That's all I ask." Just then, there was footsteps. Taju stood up quickly, grabbed a small wrapper hanging nearby, and covered the basin halfway. Then he ran back to sit down like he was just relaxing. His father came out from the house, yawning. "Taju, what are you doing there?" "Nothing, Papa," the boy said, forcing a smile. The man nodded. "I will soon prepare that fish. We will eat well tonight." Taju forced another smile, but inside he was shaking. He had to find a way to save Simbi, and fast. Back in Simbi's village, the sun had climbed high. It was already afternoon, and Simbi's father, Pa Ajala, had searched everywhere, a kind and hard-working man. He loved Simbi very much. Even though she was quiet and always doing chores, he noticed everything. That morning, when he woke up and didn't see Simbi sweeping the compound like she always did, he called her. "Simbi! Simbi! Where are you?" There was no answer. He checked her small room. She wasn't there. He looked in the backyard. Nothing. He went to the neighbour's house. "Please, have you seen Simbi this morning?" "No," the woman replied. "I saw her yesterday, but not today." Pa Ajala's heart started to beat faster. He ran to the village square. He asked every trader, every child playing, every old woman sitting under the tree, "Have you seen my daughter? 18-year-old, slim, always wearing a blue wrapper," but everyone shook their heads. "No, sir." He ran to the river, calling her name. "Simbi, Simbi, are you there?" Only the sound of water replied him. He went to his brother's house, to his cousin's farm, even to the school. Still nothing. Nobody had seen Simbi that day. Tired and sweating, Pa Ajala returned home and sat in front of his house, confused and worried. His hands were on his head. He was breathing hard. "Where is my daughter?" he said to himself. Just then, Mama Sade returned from the market. She was holding a small bag and walking as if nothing had happened. When Pa Ajala saw her, he quickly stood up and ran to her. "My wife, have you seen Simbi today? Did she follow you to the market?" Mama Sade frowned and looked at him with her usual angry face. "Simbi? I haven't seen her today. I thought she was at home. Why are you asking me?" "She's missing. Since morning. I've looked everywhere. I even went to the river." Mama Sade rolled her eyes. "Maybe she ran away. That girl is stubborn." Pa Ajala looked at her. "No, Simbi wouldn't run away without telling me. Something is wrong." Mama Sade shrugged and walked into the house without saying another word. Pa Ajala sat back down. His heart was broken. He didn't know his own wife was the one behind it all. Meanwhile, in the other village far away, Taju was pacing around the backyard. He was confused. His heart was heavy. He kept looking at the fish inside the basin. "This is not just an ordinary fish," he whispered to himself. He remembered how the fish said "please" to him earlier. He had heard it clearly, twice. Now Taju's father was in the kitchen sharpening his knife. He was ready to prepare fish stew for dinner. "Come and help me," the man called out to Taju. Taju came in slowly. His legs were shaking. He didn't know what to do. The fish was moving slowly in the water, as if it was saying goodbye. Simbi had lost hope again. "I have to do something," Taju thought. As his father brought the knife closer to the basin and reached out to pick the fish, Taju suddenly screamed. "No!" His father dropped the knife and jumped back. "What is it?" he asked, shocked. "Why did you shout like that?" Taju was breathing hard. He looked at the fish and then at his father. Then he looked again at the fish. "Papa, that fish, it spoke to me." The man frowned. "What do you mean it spoke to you? You mean in your dream?" "No, Papa. It spoke. It said, 'Please.' I heard it." Taju's father was silent. He looked at his son and then at the fish. He moved closer, slowly. He picked up the fish. The fish didn't struggle. It just looked into his eyes. And then, "Please," a voice came from the fish again. The man's eyes widened. His mouth opened. He dropped the fish back into the basin and took 3 steps back. What is this?" he asked, his voice shaking. Taju stood beside him, holding his hand tightly. "It's not a normal fish, Papa." The man bent down again and looked very closely. "Who are you?" he asked. Simbi replied, "My name is Simbi. I am not a fish. I am a girl. Please don't take me back home." The man dropped the knife and put both hands on his head. "A girl? But how? Who did this to you?" "My stepmother. She is a witch. She turned me into this because I saw her secret in the night. She and her friends want to kill my father in 3 days." Taju's father sat on the floor, too shocked to speak. He stared at the basin, then at his son. Simbi continued, "Please don't take me back. She will finish what she started. I don't want to die." Taju sat beside the basin and stared at it gently. The man stood up slowly. His mind was racing. "What should we do now?" he said. Just then, the wind outside blew strongly. The trees moved. Something didn't feel right. Back in Simbi's village, Mama Sade sat alone in her room, smiling to herself. "By now that fish should be roasted or fried," she said, laughing softly. The next morning, the sun rose quietly over the roofs of the small village where Taju and his father lived. Birds chirped as usual, but something felt different in their house. Taju had not been able to sleep well all night. He kept checking on the fish in the basin, the fish that was actually a girl named Simbi. His father, too, could not believe what had happened the day before. A fish that could talk, a fish that cried for help, a fish that turned out to be a real human being. After thinking all night, Taju's father finally made a decision. He went into his room and came out wearing his native wrapper and a shirt. He looked at Taju and said, "Get ready, my son. We are taking the fish to someone who knows what to do." "Who, Papa?" Taju asked. "The native doctor in the next village. If anyone can help us, it is him." Taju nodded. "Yes, Papa, let's go now." They gently picked up the basin with the fish inside. The fish looked tired, but when Simbi saw that they were taking her somewhere, she became calm. She didn't struggle. They walked through bushes, crossed a small river, and passed through narrow paths. After about an hour, they arrived at the native doctor's shrine. It was a small hut made of red clay, with carved wooden statues and pots of herbs around it. Smoke came out from the roof. The air smelled of strong roots and leaves. Taju's father called out, "Baba! Baba! We need your help!" A very old man came out. He had white hair, dark skin, and his eyes were sharp like someone who had seen many things in life. He looked at the basin and nodded slowly. "I have been expecting something strange like this," he said. They entered the hut. The native doctor placed the fish on a mat and began to speak in chants. He threw some white powder on the fish, and suddenly the whole place became quiet. The leaves outside stopped moving. Even the wind paused. Then, in front of everyone, Simbi began to change. The fish's body glowed. Slowly her fins disappeared. Her skin changed. Her legs returned. Her arms stretched out. In just a few seconds, Simbi was sitting on the mat, looking scared, but finally free. Taju and his father stepped back in shock. Simbi sat up. Her eyes were full of tears. "Thank you! Thank you for saving me!" The native doctor looked at her kindly. "You are safe now, my child. Tell me, how did this happen to you?" Simbi looked at Taju and his father and smiled weakly. "I will tell you everything, but first I need to go home. My father must be looking for me." The native doctor nodded. "Go, child, but be careful. Evil hides in many places." Simbi got up, and without waiting another second, she ran. She ran faster than she had ever run in her life. She didn't even look back. Her bare feet hit the red earth as she ran through bushes and trees. She was free, and she was going home, back in Simbi's village. Simbi's father, Pa Ajala, was sitting in front of his house again. His eyes were red. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't slept. He kept praying, hoping Simbi would come home. Mama Sade was inside the house, acting normal. She had cooked food, she had swept the compound, she even greeted the neighbours with a fake smile. But deep in her heart, she was afraid. Suddenly, a loud voice echoed in the village. "Papa! Papa!" Pa Ajala stood up quickly. "That voice! That's Simbi's voice!" He looked up and saw her running toward him, her clothes torn, her hair rough, her legs dirty, but it was really her. He ran toward her. They hugged tightly. Simbi cried. Her father cried. Even some neighbours watching from afar were shocked. "My daughter! My child! Where did you go?" Pa Ajala asked. Simbi wiped her tears. "It's not where I went, Papa. It's where Mama Sade sent me." Pa Ajala looked confused. "What do you mean?" Simbi turned and pointed at their house. "Papa, Mama Sade is a witch. She turned me into a fish and almost sold me to be eaten. I saw everything. I heard her and her cowiches laughing. I saw the knife. I saw death." The crowd that had gathered gasped. Simbi told the whole story, how her stepmother used a strange force to turn her into a fish, how she was sold, how a boy saved her, and how she finally came back. Pa Ajala looked at Mama Sade in shock. "Mama Sade, is this true?" he shouted. Mama Sade stood at the doorway, her face pale. "She's lying! She's just a child!" "Enough," someone in the crowd said. "Let the king hear this." Within minutes, the village messengers were sent. The king of the village was informed. He sat on his royal chair, wearing a red crown and holding his staff of power. He listened quietly as Simbi told her story again. Mama Sade was brought forward. She tried to lie again, but when the king's guards brought a bowl of truth water, she began to shake. Then the truth spilled from her mouth like water from a broken pot. She confessed to everything. "I didn't mean to harm her," she said, "but I needed a sacrifice for our coven. They said I must bring someone close to me." The king shook his head in anger. "You have betrayed this land. You are a danger to children and families." He stood up and raised his staff. "From this day forward, you are banished from this land forever. Anyone who helps you or hides you will also be punished." The guards dragged Mama Sade away. She screamed and cried, but no one pitied her. That evening, Pa Ajala sat with Simbi in front of their house. He held her hands and looked into her eyes. "My daughter, I am sorry I didn't see through her lies. I promise I will protect you with all that I have." Simbi smiled. For the first time in a long while, she felt safe. The birds sang again. The wind blew softly. The sky was calm. And in another village, not too far away, a boy named Taju looked at the sky and smiled too. He had helped a girl no one else could save